All right, welcome everyone to the 240th weekly MLP Drawing School live critique stream. It's like 6:08 on October, what is it, 6th? October 6th? Yeah, that's what my calendar
Yeah.
says.
Yeah.
We got some lesser and greater humans on our chat today. As more animal than... What is going on there?
Huh?
The icons were doing things. Anyway, as the Lion King, not Lion Queen. I don't know how that works. Like, because the female lions are actually have more power than the males in the society. So are they the kings, or is the queen the top ruler?
You know, it's a whole bunch of toxic masculinity. The hierarchy is all incest. So really, can you dig too deeply into it?
Yeah, you can dig too deeply into it. Yeah, we got Alley Claw representing
Oh
the
hi.
lions,
Oh no, I
tigers,
don't know
and
if I
bears.
wanna.
Oh my!
Hi.
Following after that, there's buried like 6 feet deep in plushies. We got Fluffy's Eye.
Hello, I've made my way out of the plushie pile.
Now, do you swim out or do you climb out?
You ask them politely, and they sort of carry you like on crowd surfing thing.
Oh, that makes sense. And from the land down under, we got the Lord of Spiders and Koala Bears, Pixie Nope.
It's 8 a.m. Welcome to 8 a.m. Australian stream.
Cool, man.
And yes, it is 8 a.m. Suck at other states with daylight savings. Yeah. And we also have LD.
Hi.
It you.
You'll get me?
No, I said it you, like
Oh.
it. It
Oh,
you.
yeah. It is me.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, that's an opening today. Let's not do that one again. So let's just hop right into the art. As always, if you have any pictures you'd like critiqued, please fire them at us whenever you're ready. Give us a heads up if you can, because half the time we'll miss a bit of text. We got like 4 different chats that people like to throw them at us, and we have to look on our balconies to make sure there's no pigeons carrying them. So it's a fair amount of work. So fire those at us. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. We prefer either the Picarto or the live stream chat in Discord. But if you need to send it another method, hopefully we'll notice.
Yeah.
And if we don't, you get your money back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not promising that.
Now, when you say snail mail, do you mean you're going to tie it to a bunch of snails and send them off? Or...
You know, I just want to picture like a cute snail with like a little messenger bag, and they got like, a squirrel in there, maybe some snacks. That I like that picture. That's a good picture.
That's an adorable picture. Could also be an adorable plushie. Little snail.
Little snail. Oh, little bag.
Just leaving us like a streak of glitter behind it.
Oh my god. That sounds painful, actually.
Ah, glitter comes out of my pores. All right, let's get to this art stuff.
Shall we start with the bottom right?
We
since
should.
they're here?
Because you have
Preferential treatment.
shown
Human.
up. This does mean we have a bias towards you, and that bias is us doing your picture first. It's great.
Yeah.
So, Zergababa, they had some questions for us. They drew it in an hour. It's day 6 of Inktober. Cool. It's good to hear people doing that. First time really trying something other than skin-tight clothes. That does make it
Okay.
slightly harder.
Mm.
Torso looks strange to you. You aren't quite sure why. Alright. So, references. Did you use any for this one? Did you sit on a chair like that? because the best part of drawing humans is you're very likely a human, so you get to do the poses they're doing. And you probably have this thing called a camera phone. You got to use it to take pictures of you doing these poses.
Oh yeah, I set up my phone just sitting on my whatever it's called on my bookshelf, point it out, and then I do the thing, and then I watch it later, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that video, but it's still useful as reference.
So I will say, wait. Sorry, I had a cough. I didn't want to do it in the mic. So I will
Appreciate
say, if
like-
you cannot find a reference that's exactly what you're looking for, that's fine. You're most likely never going to find a reference of exactly what you're looking for. But what you can do is get multiple references with elements that you're looking for. So like maybe a reference of just someone leaning against a desk, and then you find a reference of someone with like their hand, going across their body over to their other arm and pointing. You can find elements and kind of piece them together, like Frankensteining these kind of references to get the elements you're looking for. So if there's never going to be the one perfect image, so just make a collage of images. Get as many resources as you can, because as an artist, resources are the thing that's going to help your art grow. It's I don't know if it's just a pet peeve of mine, but anytime anyone's like, "Look, I drew this without a reference," it's like, "But why?" It's
Yeah. Why is that impressive?
yeah, it's okay to have references, and I know it's like I feel like there's just a falsehood about like drawing without references, but really like references are your best friend. They're always gonna help you,
Mm.
and every artist use them, even in professional work. Like they're everywhere. Everyone references.
It's the smart and professional thing to do, to use references. It's not like, oh, even people in professional work struggle. References aren't struggling. It's doing it the right way.
100% agree with these sentiments. These sentiments. Not
And sentences carrying the sentiments.
yes.
I think that this pose looks a little bit off, just because of sort of this arm here. If you sort of do the pose yourself, it kind of, I don't know, just feels a little bit off. So that can also be like sort of a useful indicator as well, is sort of doing the pose yourself and seeing how natural it kind of looks. Because a lot of the time, we'll think something is natural, and then we'll do it, and then we'll be like, oh, I see. I do like the sort of weight that you've got there, resting on the desk. You've sort of done that pretty well.
It's got a good action line to it. I like that you did a pre-sketch over here as well. I would say try to do that even more. Push yourself even more to flesh it out and really figure things out.
So I was looking over the proportions a bit of the arms to the legs and the body and that, and I think one of the issues I'm seeing is the top side is very petite, very skinny, elongated, but the bottom side has been inflated. So she got all this junk inside that trunk, and it follows through onto the legs. I believe that's the technical term, the junk inside the trunk.
You're the scientist.
Oh, am I? That's scary.
Bootyologist.
So what I would do is I would bring thin out those legs a bit and actually widen up the shoulders. Just pull them out a bit more and widen up the arms to go with that. And you can still keep that hourglass shape that they do in a lot of, contemporary animation and that. Perfectly fine shape. Just try and widen out those shoulders because they gotta have room for that lungs to move.
Yeah, it's difficult getting just human anatomy in general to sort of be in proportion and all that sort of stuff. Honestly, just life drawing is probably like the best thing that I can recommend for it. Just because if you do it enough, it'll just sort of train your head to know when something looks pretty decently correct and like sort of when it looks a little bit off. Yeah. Getting life drawing references is all good, but just like doing life drawing, like there are tools like Line of Action, which I've probably linked to you before. Line of Action, where you can go and you can choose, clothes models or whatever. I see, yeah. But like, even just like once a week or something like that, just doing a bit of like a life drawing session, is useful. That's kind of what I do. I do sort of 2 hour, 3 hour session once a week or something like that, and it's just useful for sort of keeping your skills sharp and keeping the sort of proportions and all that sort of in your head.
It's very much a thing that builds up over time. So, like Pixie does with all the consistent practice, that's going to be more beneficial than doing it, say, like, oh, I did it a few rounds and now I got it. It's very much a skill that grows with you, because you're not only training your drawing, but also your observation skills. They kind of go hand in hand, especially with life drawing.
It's interesting when you dig into sort of the basics, because up here you've got sort of these basic arrowy sort of shapes. Down here it's a bit more of just like a general whatever kind of shape. I tend to do something like the rib cage, and then this kind of like a weird shape for the hips. But as you sort of draw more, you'll sort of work out which one of these kinds of core breakdowns, this one's doing sort of the circles and stuff, which one of these sorts of core breakdowns works for you. You'll work out basically what is the way that you can draw your underlying stuff so that it lets you do all kinds of like weird, interesting sort of poses the easiest. So this is good, and just need to draw more and do more sketches. And yeah,
More art.
It's definitely good to like look at tutorials to build up certain areas and all that kind of stuff. Because it's pretty much just like seeing how different artists construct their images and what sorts of things they tend to focus on. Some will focus on the overall line of action and building everything off that, and some will focus on, looking at the shoulders versus the hips or the, whatever. It's all just about finding which set of basics works for you. And this is good.
Just learn right now. So there is an alternative theory if you want to learn right now. It will take about 48 hours, but it's a hell of a lot quicker than actually doing any work. What you're going to do is you're going to buy as many art books in one day order on Amazon, so they all show up to your house tonight. You're going to make sure you buy a blender with that. You're going to start blending them up into the finest slurry you can get it.
Oh, God.
You're going to drink down that slurry. It's going to taste horrible, so maybe add a bit of cinnamon, a bit of lemon. Try not too much sugar, though, because you don't want it to be unhealthy. Drink it on down and go to sleep. When you wake up, you should have absorbed all that knowledge.
If you're really crafty, you can get like an open source blender, but don't stress that.
Oh, lordy.
All right, shall we move on to our next picture?
Yeah. Good drawing.
Good work.
Keep submitting stuff to us because it's really cool to see.
Okay, let's go top left-hand corner.
And I've already drawn a bunch on this.
Monster.
Pixie got out of the game.
That's a snail or something from earlier, because we were talking about that earlier during setup. So this picture is super cool, and it's awesome, and it's cool, and I love this sort of shading all over the joint. It's so good, especially around here, because it sort of does show off the sort of area and the way that stuff forms over the form and stuff like that. What I've done with Twilight is, in a really basic sense, just sort of push the pose. So originally, she is. Does that switch off? Does that switch off for everyone else?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Originally, she's sitting here, and it's not. Her pose isn't like super crazy interesting. It's just sort of, sitting here in a decently sort of static pose. So when you've got this sort of annoyed look on her face here, it doesn't quite look like as convincing, just because she's not really extending herself all that much. So what I've done is, boom, I pretty much just pushed her neck out a little bit closer. Make her a little bit angry. Grr. Super angry pony. And to really push the fact that she's sort of leaning in towards
Accusatorily.
Pinky, you bring this sort of hoof back, and so it's like, yep, she is top of her. Everything is certainly leaning forwards compared to sort of all of this back here. And this one here, just because it'd be a little bit samey to sort of have the other hoof being right there, having it kind of be up. Just conveys a little bit of like extra movement sort of stuff.
Sort of, yeah, it's like action oriented that way. She's like ready to move.
Yeah. And most of the other stuff is just personal preference, like, the wing coming up a little bit here instead of going like all over down here. The tail, I also brought that up. Typically, when you're positioning the tail, you'll have sort of the spine of the pony running down along here, and then the tail will come off of the spine. Like a little dock, and then it'll like sort of come out, something along those lines. So I just sort of raised the tail up like a tiny bit. Might work out like something along those lines a little bit higher, but yeah. But yeah, no, this is good. You've got sort of the good torso shape and hip shape and all that sort of stuff.
Pixie,
A lot of it is, yeah.
you've just been a champion of this picture, by the way. Just like to
Thank you.
give you the thumbs up on that one.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you. I'm glad. Yeah. I think that the main sort of thing to focus on is just a little bit of creating difference in your poses. So, for example, click here. These two hooves are sort of in the same position. These two are in the same position. These two sort of come to the same place, and these two legs also come to the same place. And that's all good. But it isn't sort of as visually interesting as, maybe one of Pinky's hooves could be. Let me switch her back on. One of Pinky's hooves could sort of be coming up here like this, in like a bit of like a shy look. Maybe Pinky could be like turned even a little bit more towards the camera in sort of like a shy, sort of like, oh, ha 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 ha, something like that. And then you've got one hoof here, one hoof there. You've sort of got these two coming to like similar sorts of places, but even then you've got the difference of like one coming this way, one coming like a little bit further down that way. One doing this like weird stuff, so it's not like straight up and down like these two. One bit in the air, and then you create like sort of a similar kind of like a feeling for these ones. But yeah, no, good horses and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on to our next one? Actually, before we do that, sorry. Looking at your title, because didn't get the chance to go through the title on this one. I do notice he said last post for a while. Just wondering why. What's the holdup on horse? Is there an outside source that is stopping you from drawing? Because you should totally keep drawing, and you can draw other things than horses. But just going cold turkey, it's not the best. It's not how your art keeps getting better.
Yeah. We hope that you keep arting, even if you're not going to be posting.
And keep drawing, even if your pictures don't turn out like they do in your head, because they never will. And it's focusing on that. It's just a way to sort of motivate you.
The other day that's kind of a lie. The whole idea of to get better as an artist, I need to be able to draw what's in my head exactly, and vice versa. It's like, nope, that's not how art works.
Yeah. So keep sketching and doing stuff, even if you don't send it through us. But we hope you do. It's fun. Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to our next one?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
Our next picture. Snail. Oh, that wasn't the button.
What was that?
That was me clicking stuff. All right, so this is by Blazing to My Fod. Yes, Blazing to My Fod. Been doing an hour a day for the last few days. How's my progress coming along? Should I adjust how I'm doing the muzzles, or will they come with practice? Yes, you should adjust, and yes, they'll come with practice. So bonus points for double yeses. So Pixie gave a heck of a lot of information about doing 3D and trying some drawbox and understanding muzzles. So good on you for going over their thing and responding back to them. Just wanted to see if anyone else had any elements they would like to say, because Pixie knocked this one out of the park with their critique.
Pixie is the bomb.
I know. Yeah, just any elements or advice for sort of beginning artists or all that sort of stuff.
Well, my advice is, as you've said, just keep doing this. This is a great practice that you're doing. Just the fact that you're willing to spend, you've set apart some time to do this every single day and keeping it up, that is the best way to improve. If you just draw something and then, come back to it a month later and draw something else, it's not nearly as effective as doing it every single day, over and over and over. Because, dang it, that's how you get the time in. And you gotta get the time in. Gotta get that 10,000 drawings.
I think the advice that I feel like I want to give at this point is the most important thing you can learn as a beginner artist is not anything to do with drawing, but to be patient and to be patient with yourself. Because art's a pretty big journey, but it's it's cliche. It's about the journey, so enjoy the journey. Just be patient with yourself. Things will grow. Things will change. You'll learn. You'll learn that you learned some bad things. You'll learn that you learned some good things. But it does come with time. So just give yourself patience and keep up this practice.
Okay, shall we move on to our next one? And yes, Maze, totally calling you out on this one.
Wait, what one are we on now?
We'll be moving to the bottom left-hand corner.
Oh.
We were on the faces.
Oh, I was doing stuff on this.
Okay. Oh, do you still
I
have?
do have a couple of things to say, but then I guess I don't know what Pixie has put in his critique now. Then, so.
He was talking about muzzle shape and drawing more.
There's a couple of
Mostly
things.
just like very basic sort of form stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna talk about the I mean, I can see you've been doing like the circle, and here's the plus for the sort of direction of the head, but then you've also got, unless this was drawn by someone else, this like X sort of guide here, but then it looks like you have, firstly, that doesn't line up with the actual center of the head, which is what this middle line should be. And then secondly, it feels like you haven't even applied either of these guides to where like the eyes are placed in most of the faces. So I would say, if you're gonna, you don't have to do all this like breaking everything up, but if you're gonna do that, then you might as well actually like use those guides, but use them accurately. You know, if you need this X thing to define the center of the head, use the plus sign. That's what it's there for. The vertical line is the center of the head vertically, and then this is like sort of where the nose and eyes will be. So we can all you really need is that, and you can go for there, drawing your silly faces. Yeah, keep practicing that.
It can be good to if you're using a sort of a guide like that, figuring out how to use that guide by drawing it onto other artists' work.
Yeah.
Like when I'm trying to when I'm trying out like a new muzzle design, I'll like pull up a bunch of like art from that point of view, and I'll be like, okay, how does their muzzle look compared to mine? And I'll draw my muzzle on top, and I'll be like, oh, that looks good, or oh, I don't like that. Let's steal some more elements from their muzzle design.
That can be very helpful, yeah, because you sort of figure out how things are meant to be broken up that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the bottom left-hand corner. Yep. It's a Twilight.
It's a Twilight.
But more
I don't know
importantly,
what this is.
Hootie.
Hoot hoot.
So this is by Supermarine Spitfire. I've been doing pony-themed Inktober drawings. This is my first five images. Bonus points for Hootie.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I just hope you have a Hootie for every Inktober drawing. Please insert Hootie. Make it Hootie-tober.
Yep. You'll
Yeah.
have a hoot drawing it.
Yeah, it is full.
Hootober.
All right. So they do have images. Here we go. Or not images. They have questions. Submission for day 5. Blade. Swords appear too often in my drawings, so I decided to include a halberd. It's like a battle axe pike with a dismounting hook to satisfy the prompt. Since Twilight looks up to Shining, I can see her wanting to learn how to use the tools of the trade of the Royal Guard. Also, brought back Hootie. He could give me practice in playing out a scene, vital for comics. Future drawings could have the other characters reacting negatively to him. Because how else do you react to Hootie?
It's really bad. I'm imagining this scene playing out, like Hoodie is sneaking up behind Twilight, says something, his shrill voice as he always does, and Twilight jumps and spins around and just slices his head off, and then he has to be glued back on.
I know.
That's pretty metal. So, they do have some self-critique on this one. Twilight's hooves are too small, especially on her hind legs. The cheek-eye interface on Twilight's right side is absent, making it look like her right eye is part of her cheek. Her chest is not curved out enough, which blurs the distinction between her neck and chest. And then they gave details of what they use. And they apparently used an Alarmy pen, which is crazy.
Well, cool. This has been critiqued. Then let's move on.
I've pulled up the references you've used, and I think if you're sort of sticking to
Oh.
pairing, so I can compare the neck size here is pretty big, because in the reference, this sort of mane continues to come in here, and so instead of here to here being the sort of full neck size, sort of ends up being sort of here to here, which is a little bit more balanced with kind of the head size. I think the hooves, they're not necessarily like too small, they're just not quite long enough compared to this whole chest belly area thing. That's why I've sort of pulled all this up, and that kind of helps the it helps you keep the hooves in the same position while the actual legs do look longer. This whole sort of back area is pretty difficult to sort of get this kind of back area in this position working fine. This wing sort of connection happens around about up near the shoulders, so somewhere like sort of up above here ish. So you'll tend to have something sort of roughly kind of like along those lines, and then this whole back area will be come down a bit more, something along those lines. That's so dodgy. Oh my god. But I can look at the reference and see if they do the come in thing and do all that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good drawing. It's just a case of continuing to jump at those references and all that kind of stuff. I've always seen I've said this in a previous one, like months and months ago, but I've seen a lot of stuff that you've drawn with these references, the pony show references, but I haven't seen much with sort of other references, you know, from either real life animals or from any of that sort of stuff. It'd be interesting to sort of see you tackle some more some stuff with some more sort of realistic rendering to it and that sort of stuff, and 3D space and that kind of thing, and just like see how you go if you want to.
Yeah, I agree. It could be a fun challenge because it plays into a lot of that interpretation part of art learning, where you kind of like you take something and you interpret it into what you want it to be. Where just going off of show references is just like, you know, point A to point B. We're going from a cat picture to a pony is like point A to point B, but with a lot of squiggles in between.
I will say with these little hairlines, I know that Twilight has them, but it's important to sort of look at these ones as kind of the main ones that you want to emphasize, because they're the different color, because they're, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then all of these other ones, you sort of draw lighter and smaller. Just to sort of take attention away from them a little bit, so that they're not like the main thing that people focus on when they look at the image. And also, don't stress too much about all of them connecting 100% exactly. Like all these lines that you've drawn, 100% go all the way from here, start to the end, start to the end, start to the end. It's okay if they're like a little bit all over the drawing, or if they, you know, start in different places, or sort of don't, you know, they fade off halfway through or something like that, like even in these ones up here. Just because that's sort of part of the graphic style of drawing. Good to experiment with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's generally going to be my response today. Yeah, what they said. All right, shall we move on?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Our next picture up is by Bradley Boren. Two Corrupted Sisters. Not yet final design, but NM will look like more snakish vampire called Midnight Nocturnal, and Sis is Apollo Burst from my fan comic. I assume that's the one that they posted last two weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, this picture feels really familiar. I feel like, have we looked at a whip of this before?
Yes, we
or-
have.
Okay. I was like, this seems really familiar.
So let me just scroll through their gallery. Oh my god. There it is. Nope. Maybe.
This whole face area is like too good. It's not allowed to be this good.
It is really nice. Very good detail.
They post a lot of art. Holy cow. So they
Good.
posted other comics. Mouse wheel's gonna get tired. Just infinite scroll. Go! Anyway, apparently I'm through 2 months of posts, and that's like 800 posts for this person, so holy Jesus. Oh. No, that wasn't
I
it.
know.
Anyway, I give up. That was too much scrolling. Yeah, so we have, I believe we've seen this before, just in the black and white picture before getting to color.
This is good. Good horse.
So, sorry. There we go. So going over a few details that I'm noticing that could use some minor corrections. The teeth here was probably easier to see on the full size image, but let's just enhance a bit. Oh my god. There we go. You have this massive thick tongue that sticks through there. Okay, blue on that doesn't work. You have this massive thick tongue that sticks through there, but her mouth definitely seems to be more closed than that is going to be. My suggestion would be make that tongue appear thinner, and one of the better ways of doing that, at least in this picture, will be to just sort of flatten the top and give the rest of the teeth their chance to show over there. Because if it's going to be riding under the teeth, you're going to see the teeth that roll out behind it. Damn, that horn looks even better as we get closer. It does look like, at least the version of the picture you posted up has horrible JPEG artifacts throughout the entire thing. My suggestion, if you're going to be doing pictures that are any bit digital, save them always in PNG, because at least it doesn't do artifacting. I know you can go to lossless JPEG, but really at that point there's no point. Just go back to PNG.
It depends on how big the file is, because my pictures are big enough that a lot of my PNGs can be like, I mean, sometimes upwards of like 13 megabytes or something, which for some places can be too big for it. So saving it as a JPEG, even at like 95% quality or whatever, like I don't notice a difference in the pictures at all, but it will just crush the actual file size.
That is
It's
fair.
not usually necessary unless you need to put your pictures somewhere where they're too big in file size for it. Otherwise, use PNGs always, I think.
Yeah, Maze has got my back here. In the case of this picture, it's obviously not done at that, 95% quality, and it appears to not be a larger picture that's heavily shrunk down. It appears that however they're saving it, they're just dropping the quality quite substantially.
It might be that you just don't understand all those silly options and think, oh, JPEG, that's like a normal image file type, right? So I should probably save as that, and then you're hit with a wall of export settings that are about like, oh, what does compression mean? What is all this? And then just hit OK, and maybe it's set as the wrong settings with a super low quality. Who knows? It might not be your fault, but yeah, try PNG.
Yeah.
It's going to help your wonderful details stay wonderful details. Keep it unmuddied. Although some people do like that JPEG artifacting look. Some people have used it to their advantage.
Some people are wrong.
Oh, snap!
Okay, so this crown up here on top of Luna's head, or evil Luna's head, it basically just blends into the wing a whole lot. So this whole area sort of looks like it's the same, which might be what you're going after, but might also not. So if you do want the crown to sort of stand out, it might be good to just have a little bit of sort of a edge coming down here. So if you follow this line, down, it sort of continues in this kind of an arc. And so placing sort of like a highlight or a rim light sort of down here just sort of completes the shape without having to add sort of too much visual information.
Mm-hmm. And in the same kind of vein, I would just be careful. You have a big tangent going on with the ear and the crown over here. So if you can just do something to break that up a bit, like maybe have the ear come out over on like top a little bit more. So that way they kind of cross into each other rather than smoosh together. And it's not like the ears awkwardly smoosh next to the crown. That way it stands out a little bit and you get a little bit more 3D feel to the whole piece.
Yeah, that's like a very deliberately formed tangent. Like the ear doesn't need. It's a very very far forward pointing position for an ear to be in, and then yeah, the crown is also curved in a way that they pretty much exactly line up.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes tangents are really hard to like fix. Like I was working on something recently, and it's like there's nowhere I can put the. I think I was doing like the sort of highlight colors in the pony's mane, 'cause they had like a base main color and they had like darker streaks. And nowhere where I placed one of the streaks could I avoid a tangent with the horn lines. So there was a line across the horn that was matching up, and I tried moving the horn line. I tried adjusting where the streak went, and all I could do was really make it as subtle or as little of a tangent as I could possibly get it, but it was still there, and it bugged me. But there's nothing I could do. But sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's easy to avoid. I think this would be pretty easy.
With this area, it's a little bit difficult to sort of see the underlying anatomy here, just because the tangents are here. So like the anatomy is kind of something like this. You got the chest, you've got the back of the torso, that sort of stuff. Because of this line here, it sort of creates the impression when you first look at it that the anatomy is actually sort of like this weird little divotty sort of thing. Don't be too scared of, for example, having like a fairly decent sized outline here and then sort of just stepping down to this sort of thin outline here, because if you create like a very obvious sort of difference between these two sort of lines, that will sort of bring the contrast up, and then your eye will be like, okay, this line here doesn't flow directly into that line there. Thicken that up a bit and be like, yeah. Similar sort of thing with this wing. At first, I didn't really get that this whole golden part was sort of a bit of the wing. I sort of my brain was just like, okay, all of this is kind of one object, and then I had to take another look at it, and I was like, oh no, that's a separate wing sort of thing there. And so what you might be able to do is just do something along the lines of have a bit of like a shadowy kind of thing back there. Any time that you do have a line sort of overlapping another one, it can be useful to sort of just have like a little bit of like a shadow or something like that, just to sort of show, or just like a bit of like something thicker to show that it is in front of the other thing. When on all my sort of line drawings, I'll sort of finish them up and then I'll go over it and I'll be like, okay, does the thing that's in front actually look like it's in front? And a good way to sort of show that is to make sure that the thing that is in front has some thicker lines, because it sort of emulates what the eye sees, because things that are closer to us appear bigger, and it also just like explicitly sort of create some separation between the different sort of levels, and even with things like this face. I absolutely love this face. It looks so good. It looks great. So maybe like just puffing up this sort of thing a little bit here would sort of be like, okay, this chin is sort of in front of the that a little bit more, and all that kind of thing. See with this, it's big, good. Might be good to also like just take a look at the shoulder shapes a little bit. Just because you've got this sort of looking like this and this sort of looking like this, and having something that sort of more explicitly sort of tapers out at the top of the shoulder might be useful. But I really do like a lot of this picture. It's super good. Might be good to look at the overall anatomy kind of stuff here, because this chest is sort of pushed over this way. So if I'm like drawing the side of the chest, it's kind of like here in this sort of shape, and then the hips are like all the way back here, and there is a lot of space in the middle. I'd probably at an earlier stage like shrink this in or something along those lines just a bit. Like they can still have that sort of princessly big feeling, but just sort of bringing in that stuff a little bit. Adjusting can be really good. I'm always adjusting my things. I always draw my heads too big, and then I'm like, okay, let's let's grab the head and make it like a whole bunch smaller.
Deflate the head.
Deflate the head. I like it. I like all the rendering.
I really love the fire hair.
I love this section of like mane right here, the Sally's mane right here. Oh my god, that looks like so good. It looks so like flamey and warm.
And I also love how this top section you catch a bit of the armor through it, so it's like gives that transparent feel.
All these sort of armor shapes and the highlights and that sort of stuff. It's really hard to sort of do those convincingly, and I feel like that's pulled off a lot.
Alright, shall we move on to our next one?
Sure thing.
One tiny thing. Don't be scared to pull the front of the armor off of the legs. Especially in sort of ones like this where the leg goes back. The arm might like pull off a little bit and just create a bit more. Yeah.
And as Ali pointed out, our next one is just a picture of my face staring at you.
Whoa.
Face reveal, I know.
I think I've already revealed my face on streams.
I think I remember you did that recently.
I'll go back through the YouTube archives, don't worry.
If you go...
I don't think it was in the stream, but I think recently you were like just turning a webcam on for something, if I remember right. I can't remember.
Probably drawing. If you go to the first things this channel ever posted, it has our charity stream, and I was doing a live painting then on acrylic on canvas. I think that one's still at my parents' house. I think. So what happened is my dad's a champion and didn't tell me for a while. I donated it to a charity after one was done, because the person who bought it didn't want it. Like, they didn't want it sent, so it was donated to another charity. And my dad found out which charity, and he bought it at the auction and never told me because it didn't sell. But he's like, yes, I've bought this. And I found it in his house like last year while I was going through helping him clean up stuff. It was just like right there. Like, I know this one.
That's so sweet.
It is sweet. It wasn't a good painting.
What a good thing.
No, it was. You did really good.
It's me
that
like
was
7 years ago. I could do a lot better.
Wait, is this the Rainbow Dash one?
No, it's the Twilight one. was Twilight.
Oh, I only remember
Yeah.
the Rainbow Dash one.
The Rainbow Dash was more adorable. All right, so we got no more pictures, so we'll call it a week. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again next week.
Woo! Stay safe, Birdman.
Yeah, don't lick doorknobs, guys. Stop. I know they're tasty.
It's not like that Japanese TV show where it could be chocolate. I promise, they're not chocolate.
Oh my god, that is
I
a
remember
dangerous
that.
show.
That show. I mean, my teeth are all erect, and no matter which thing I bite, it's probably damaging my teeth more. So I don't want to do it, but it would be fun to watch.
But chocolate. Think about it. Your couch could be chocolate right now.
I already have enough chocolate on me.
All right.
I'll eat my